I'm Julie Bartke with this Senate update. A veto is in order, according to Governor Mark Dayton, if a certain campaign finance provision remains in legislation that makes it to his desk. He outlined what the issue is in a news conference along with several DFL lawmakers.
Well, all session, we have seen the House Republican majority put corporate special interests ahead of Minnesotans. The effort we want to talk about today, which is their effort to gut Minnesota's campaign finance laws and open the floodgates to donations from special interests, is perhaps the worst example. The state government omnibus bill that the Republicans passed last week eliminates campaign finance spending limits for statewide offices, constitutional offices, governor's races, and state legislative races. Worse, it allows unlimited donations from PACs and lobbyists. So legislative candidates can essentially bankroll their entire campaign by PACs and lobbyists who are here at the state capitol every day trying to influence the process. These well-connected insiders, their influence, I think people would all agree, is already enough. And if you need any more proof of that, I would point you to two things. I'd point you to the Republican tax bill that was passed off the floor last week as well, where the biggest winners undoubtedly and by a huge margin are corporate special interests and big businesses who secure billions in permanent income tax or permanent tax cuts. If you need additional evidence, I think you don't need to look any further than the Republicans' efforts to block the governor's and Democrats' initiative for oil train safety legislation. Again, it's pretty common sense that we address this issue for the 300,000 Minnesotans that live within a half a mile of railroads in this state. Yet Republicans have stood with the railroad lobby and stonewalled a serious solution this entire session. Clean elections shouldn't be a partisan issue. It certainly isn't for most Minnesotans. In fact, I would challenge any lawmaker to go out and stand in the corner of their hometown, to go and stand on the corner in downtown Minneapolis and ask 100 people, do you think our election system needs more special interest money flowing into it? Do you think we need more corporate cash being spent on mailers and TV ads? And I think 100 times out of 100, the answer to that would be no. We know where Minnesotans stand on this, and we should listen to them and reject this scheme to concentrate more political power in the hands of corporate special interests that clearly already have plenty.
Hello. I think there are three major provisions that are at play here that are worth serious discussion. The first is the House Republican proposal to eliminate the campaign refund program. This is the program that has allowed everyday Minnesotans to participate in the political system for over 20 years. The second major provision is the GOP insistence in the tax bill to allow for unlimited contributions from large donors or corporate special interests. And the third is the Republican opposition in both the House and the Senate to increase disclosure so that Minnesotans can know where their campaign spending is coming from. It's the combination of these three provisions that will drone out the voice of average Minnesotans and can have a serious long-standing impact on Minnesota and our legislature for years to come.
Minnesota is a unique state. We are one of the states in the country that has the longest and strongest tradition of citizen-centered democracy. We have among the lowest average contributions to state candidates. We have a rich tradition of clean government, clean elections, and a widely shared and strong belief among the citizens of this state that they are the owners of their state government, they are the ones who are in charge, and that their state government is responsive to them as part of our great civic tradition. The legislation that we are seeing come forward this year is a corruption of that great tradition. In some ways, it's a perfect circle of corruption coming out of this legislature. First, we had unprecedented amounts of spending in the 2014 election, and much of that was secret, so we don't even know how much money was spent. Then we have a group of candidates elected who begin to pass legislation, as Representative Thiessen talked about, that rewards those same interests for their support. Finally, with the extra money that the policy and budget priorities of that Republican caucus create for those interests, they then get rid of any of the effective limits on how much those special interests can put back into those campaigns, and the cycle continues. That is a corruption of our political system. That is something that we absolutely need to stop. It's bad enough that we've been stymied in our effort to pass legislation that would expose the secret money in politics, but to take the next step and to get rid of a system that has served the state very, very well it's unacceptable. It's outrageous. Minnesotans expect that their legislators come to St. Paul to work on their behalf and that their elected officials serve them. And this kind of self-serving legislation where legislators and politicians can improve their own chances at re-election at the expense of a system that we've been building over decades is exactly the kind of wrong-headed and self-interested politics that Minnesotans reject. And I think that it's very important that we take a strong stand against a piece of legislation that would gut Minnesota's campaign finance and anti-corruption laws. So I want to just thank all the legislators and the governor for your position today.
Thank you. My name is Jim Carlson, and I represent the cities of Burnsville and Eagan. And I really don't need to say very much more other than what's already said here. But I want everyone to realize that what is happening here is the taking away of the vote of the individual. The individual today has, through the campaign refund program and your checkoff on your taxes, you have the ability to affect who gets elected and how their message gets delivered back to you. With these changes that are being proposed, they're taking away that weight of that vote that you have as the individual and putting it into the hands of someone who has very deep pockets. So I think that's bad for our future. It's bad for our good government, and in the future, it will take away the ability of the individual to make their positions known. So thank you very much for coming here, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to the governor.
The terrible decision by the United States Supreme Court just a couple of years ago opened the floodgates for undisclosed large contributions to try to buy the political process, and this is Minnesota's Republican Party's attempt in Minnesota to do likewise. Last election, we saw in some of the pivotal House races a veritable flood of special interest literature, direct mail, and the like, to distort positions, to try to just destroy candidates, and to try to buy those elections. And in some cases, they were successful. Now they want to extend that statewide and open the floodgates still further. Be a terrible direction for Minnesota. We have a history of strong campaign finance protections as well as campaign and election protections, and they're just out to gut every one of them for their own advantage. And I salute the legislators who are here today for their strong opposition, and I will join them in that opposition.